I was sitting on the stern of the small tourist boat, watching the calm lake waters reflect the orange evening sky, when I felt someone sit down beside me. I didn't look immediately, too absorbed in the memories this place evoked. This lake had been my refuge throughout my teenage years, the place where I came to think, dream, plan, a future that never happened the way I imagined. "Excuse me, is this seat taken?" My heart stopped. It literally stopped for a full second before racing as if I'd run a marathon. I knew that voice before I even turned my face. It was impossible not to know it, even after 28 years. Some voices are etched into the soul in a way that time cannot erase. "Daniel," he smiled, and I saw the 19-year-old boy I'd known superimposed on the 47-year-old man before me. His hair shorter now, gray strands at his temples, wrinkles around eyes that were once smooth, but the smile was exactly the same. That crooked smile that used to make my stomach flip. "Claire, my God, Claire Reynolds." He shook his head, incredulous. "Or did you change your last name?" "Went back to Reynolds 4 years ago," I replied, still trying to process the fact that he was there, sitting inches from me. "Divorced." "Me too. 2 years ago." He looked at the lake, then back at me. "May I sit?" I already sat, but can I stay?" I laughed, and the sound came out strange, nervous. "Of course. Please." We sat in silence as the boat glided smoothly across the water. The tour guide at the front talked about the town's history, about how this lake had been the heart of Millbrook for over 200 years, but I barely heard him. My mind was light years away, returning to the summer of 1996, when Daniel Harris and I were inseparable. "Do you still live here?" he finally asked. "No. I've been in Portland for 23 years. I came back to take care of my mother. She had a stroke last month." I looked at him. "And you?" "Chicago. I came from my father's funeral last week. He passed away 10 days ago." "Oh, Daniel, I'm so sorry." "Thank you. It was sudden, an aneurysm. At least, he didn't suffer." He paused, his fingers drumming lightly on the wooden bench. "I extended my stay for a few days. I don't know, I felt I needed to. This town has so many memories." "I know what you mean." The boat passed by the old wooden bridge, and we both looked at it at the same time. "That's where we kissed for the first time, on my 17th birthday." He had taken me for a picnic by the lake shore, and when the sun began to set, we walked to the bridge. I was nervous, waiting, wanting him to do something, and finally he had taken the courage. "You're thinking about the bridge," he said softly. It wasn't a question. "You are too." "I think about that bridge at least once a month for 28 years. He turned to face me. "That's pathetic, isn't it?" "It's not pathetic. I think about it too." The silence that followed was loaded with everything left unsaid, with all the questions hovering between us like mist over water. "Why didn't you answer my letters?" The question escaped him as if it had been trapped for decades. "I wrote 15 letters, Claire. 15. During the first 6 months of college. I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach." "What letters?" "Daniel, I never received any letters from you." He stared at me, and I saw confusion and pain in his eyes. "I sent them to your dorm address. They all came back marked addressee, unknown, after a while. But I thought you'd received them before that, and just didn't want to respond." "I changed dorms in the second week," I said, my mind racing. "There was a problem with water damage in the building, and they transferred us." "Daniel, I swear I never received your letters, and the calls. I called your mother asking for your new number so many times that she finally told me to stop calling, that you had asked me not to contact you anymore. I felt hot tears sting my eyes. I never asked that. Never, my mother. ... I closed my eyes, remembering. My mother never approved of you. Said you were a distraction, that I had too much potential to waste on a teenage relationship. Daniel, she must have intercepted everything. My God. He ran his hand through his hair, a gesture I remembered so well. All these years, I thought you'd discarded me, that our relationship meant nothing to you. It meant everything, I whispered. You were everything, Daniel. When I didn't hear from you, when my mother said you'd called once and never again, I thought you'd forgotten me, that you'd found someone at Stanford and moved on. He took my hand, and the touch was electric. I waited for you, Claire, the entire first year. Didn't date anyone. Didn't look at anyone. You were my first love, my first everything. I was sure we'd find a way to make it work. Tears were flowing freely down my face now. I met Robert my sophomore year. He was persistent, kind, safe. Everything my parents approved of. And I was so tired of hurting, so tired of missing you. So I let it happen. I married Linda at 26. She was a co-worker. My family loved her. He looked at our intertwined hands, but Claire, every time she said I love you, I had to force the words back, because the person I loved was you. It always was you. That's terrible, I said. But I was thinking the same thing about my own marriage. Robert was a good man. He deserved better than someone who was just trying to forget someone else. Linda too. She knew. Never said anything, but she knew there was a part of me that would never be completely hers. He squeezed my hand. We had good times, 2 wonderful children, but it wasn't what it could have been. It wasn't us. The boat was making the turn, heading back to the pier. Our time was running out, and I panicked at the idea of letting him go again. Do you have time for coffee? I asked quickly. After the tour, I have time for whatever you want, Claire. I have a whole week before I need to go back to Chicago. We got off the boat together and walked down Main Street to the cafe where we used to spend hours talking after school. To my surprise, it was still there, though renovated and with a new name. We sat at a table by the window, each with a steaming cup of coffee, and for a long moment we just looked at each other. Tell me about your life, he finally said. The last 28 years, don't skip anything. So I told him about college and how I became a literature teacher, about my marriage to Robert, which was comfortable but never passionate, about our daughter, Sophie, who was now 21 and in veterinary school, about the amicable divorce when we finally admitted we were together out of habit, not love, about coming back to care for my mother and how it had forced me to confront so many things from the past. He told me about becoming a civil engineer, about building bridges and highways across the country, about his 2 children, Marcus and Lily, who were his joy, about how his marriage had slowly disintegrated without dramatic fights, just a gradual drifting apart until there was nothing left to save, about how his father's death had made him question everything in his life. You know what my father said to me 3 days before he died? Daniel asked, his voice thick with emotion. I was sitting by his bedside, talking about work, and he interrupted me. Said, Danny, have you ever wondered what would have happened if you'd fought for that girl from the lake? Claire, I was shocked that he still remembered you after all these years. And then he said, "Don't make my life your template, son." I was safe, practical, sensible, and I regret every moment I chose safety over passion. My throat was tight. He said that he did, and then he made me promise I wouldn't let fear keep me from being happy in the time I have left. He looked directly into my eyes. 3 days later, he was gone, and I was at the funeral, looking around at all the people who came to honor him, and I realized nobody really knew him, not even my mother, because he never allowed himself to be vulnerable, never allowed himself to really want something. And so you extended your stay, and so I extended my stay. And last night I was driving aimlessly around town and found myself stopping in front of your old house. The living room light was on, and I almost knocked on the door, but I lost my nerve. He smiled sadly. And then, today, I decided to take that stupid tourist boat ride, something I would never normally do, and there you were. I almost didn't come either, I admitted. My mother is stable, and I was exhausted. But something pulled me here. I thought maybe seeing the lake would help me process everything. "Do you believe in fate?" he asked softly. "I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe I believe some things are too important to leave to chance." I took a deep breath. "Daniel, I'm very scared of what I'm about to say, but I can't let you leave without saying it." "Then say it. Say anything. I still feel something for you. I don't know if it's who you were or who you are now, but sitting here with you, I feel more alive than I've felt in years. And I know it's complicated. You live in Chicago. I need to be here for my mother. We have entire lives and children and careers, but I cannot let you leave again without knowing if there's still something here." He was silent for so long that I thought I'd made a terrible mistake. Then he stood up, came around the table, and knelt beside my chair, taking my hands in his. "Claire Reynolds, I loved you when I was 19. And sitting here now, looking at you, hearing your voice, seeing how you still bite your lower lip when you're nervous, I realize I never stopped. I just stored that love somewhere deep because I thought it was impossible. But it doesn't have to be impossible. Not if we don't let it be." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I can work from anywhere. That Chicago isn't my home. It's just where I live. I'm saying I have enough savings to take a few months off. I'm saying I want to stay here, get to know you again, see if what we feel is real or just nostalgia. And if it's real, Claire, if it's truly real, then we'll figure out the rest together." "You would do that? Leave your life behind?" "What life? An empty house, a job that doesn't excite me anymore. My children are adults. They have their own lives. I'm not leaving anything behind, Claire. I'm finally running toward something." I pulled him up and hugged him tight, burying my face in his neck. He smelled different, but something essential was the same. Something fundamental. "I'm so scared," I whispered. "Me too. But I'm more scared of asking myself, what if, for the next 28 years, we pulled back enough to look into each other's eyes, and then, right there in the crowded cafe, he kissed me." It was soft and hesitant at first, two strangers relearning each other. But then something shifted, something clicked, and it was like coming home after a long journey. When we pulled apart, we were both crying and laughing at the same time. "This is crazy," I said. "Completely crazy," he agreed. "But I don't care." We spent the next week together, every moment precious. We walked the trails around the lake where we used to walk. We visited our old places. We got to know each other's lives through stories and photos. I introduced him to my mother, who cried when she saw him and apologized for interfering all those years ago. He introduced me to his children via video call, and they were surprised but happy to see their father truly smiling for the first time in years. And at the end of that week, sitting on the same bridge where we'd kissed for the first time 28 years before, we made plans, real, tangible plans. He would rent an apartment in Millbrook for 3 months while I took care of my mother. After that, we'd see. Maybe I'd move to Chicago. Maybe he'd stay here. Maybe we'd find a completely new place for both of us. The important thing was that we'd be together. Finally, you know, he said, his arms around me as we watched the sunset paint the lake golden pink. My father was right about not choosing safety over passion. Maybe we needed those 28 years, I reflected. Maybe we needed to grow up, have other experiences, raise our children, learn who we are. Maybe we weren't ready then. And now I'm ready. Scared, but ready. He kissed the top of my head. Me too. And as the sun disappeared behind the mountains, bathing everything in soft light, I realized that some loves don't end. They just wait. They wait for the right moment, for the right people, for the version of ourselves that's finally ready to fight for what matters. 28 years was a long time to wait. But looking at Daniel, feeling his heart beat against my back, I knew that each one of those years had brought us to this moment, and this moment was worth every second of the wait.